Okay, my friends, I woke up this morning with an attitude, and you're about to hear about it right now. Because there's always one guy that destroys everything, and we're going to talk about those one guys right now. Okay, my friends, so why did Roger wake up in such a mood today? Well, it's because of the one guy problem. Einstein destroyed science, absolutely destroyed physics for over 100 years because he was the one guy. And they still have to follow his complete wrong science. Light speeds up, slows down. I have shown so much of this, and I'm frustrated now, and I'm pissed off that nobody will pay attention to reality because of the one guy. And it happens to be, in this case, Einstein, 100 years ago or more, is the one guy destroyed everything. Light speeds up. It's insanity to say it doesn't. There it is right there, speeding up. We did this, and light travels that way and that way at the same time. Yes, the big discovery that came, because it bounces back. This is no mystery. None of this stuff is a mystery, but one guy stops everything. And who is the one guy that's stopping this research here? It's the guy that made these pictures right here from Fermilab. The one guy. We found him in our light experiments, contacted Fermilab, and the one guy said I was a tinfoil hat guy and an embarrassment to science, and you can't see photons with CMOS. And I protested, and we went vigorously and violently back and forth. And it ended up, I decided, well, I'm never going to get anywhere with this one guy that controls Fermilab. He controls the interface between Fermilab and the rest of the world. One guy. So I went to the University of Geneva. I showed them all of our experiments, and there's a bunch of people I worked with. Well, I didn't work with them. I just told them, here's what I got. There was no one guy there, which was good, because eventually they came around to say, wow, this is cool. And they actually, this was about 2015 or so, and about a couple of years ago, they upgraded CERN to use CMOS because of its excellent qualities. But they fought me just like the one guy at Fermilab. He's never turned around. They went ahead and upgraded CERN. I was pretty impressed with the University of Geneva, to be perfectly honest with you. They were the only one that would even discuss this with me. But I was there as a student. I went through Coursera, particle physics, and I told them, the only reason I went there is just to say, here's what we got. I went to all kinds of universities. I did, all over the world. You can go for free. Coursera, everything I did was for free. Anyway, the one guy is always the problem. And Yale was the same thing. One guy destroyed Mudfossils. One guy. Okay, I have discovered a whole ton of things, and one guy stands in front of everything in every single different area I've tried. And this is what Max Planck had to say about science. I asked, did Max Planck say that science changes one funeral at a time? Yes. Max Planck famously associated with the idea science progresses as older generations of scientists who hold firmly to outdated ideas. Their PhD, perfectly happy deluded, are replaced by newer generations open to new perspectives. Well, they can't open because they get shut down immediately and destroyed by the older ones that stand in the way, the one guy problem. The concept often summarized as science changes one funeral at a time. The original quote from Planck's autobiography, Scientific Autobiography, and other papers in 1950, same time when Velikovsky was being destroyed by academia. And here's what he had to say, in quotations, in bold: a new scientific truth does not triumph by convincing its opponents and making them see the light. This is interesting, the light. But rather because its opponents eventually die and a new generation grows up that is familiar with truth All right, and it reflects the notion that paradigm shifts in science often face resistance. Boy, you ain't lying. From established thinkers, and true acceptance comes as younger scientists adopt the expanding ideas. This is, right now, is the absolute best time in history to go into science, because not a single thing is right because of the one guy principle. Let's do a forum. Let's do an open engagement into the scientific principle of engagement, not peer review. We won't look at it because we don't like it. That's what peer review is. It's a domination of science. It's the one guy principle over the group. The one guy stands over the group and says, you say what I say, or I will say you are an idiot, and the rest of the group throw you out. Okay, my friends, as you know, I have been spewing all kinds of stuff out for 15 years. Most people think I'm insane, and I have been called that for 15 years. However, I have all the evidence, and what happens is you get one guy in charge of whatever it is. This ancient archaeology, mud fossils, they destroyed me, and there's one guy. One guy was the problem. And the same thing with the light experiments and all the light research that proves literally the same things that they're showing, but one guy stands in front and says, nope, the guy's an idiot. And everybody else says, yep, the guy's an idiot. Because that guy is the hero to everybody else. And he decides who is allowed to speak. And I am not allowed to speak. This right here, my friends, is about gatekeeping. And this is chat saying the same thing I'm saying about peer review. They're concerns that peer review can become a form of gatekeeping, absolutely, where established academics control who gets published or funded. And that is a case, that's no question. This could suppress dissenting voices or unconventional approaches as mine. I have the evidence, I have the scientific validation of everything I've presented, and now this is really racketeering. It's fiduciary failure, and in the case of academics, I looked it up, it sure seems to be like academic fraud when they won't address legitimate scientific evidence even to talk about it. That is suppression of valid information, which they claim is academic fraud. That's what that says. Peer review may foster groupthink, no question about it. They attack me like just unbelievable. Conflicts of interest, they're not going to get their money. Power imbalances, they're going down because is it like racketeering? Absolutely. Racketeering typically involves coercive or illicit control over an enterprise for personal gain. That is what the universities do. They control those kids. If they speak up, destroy them. Keep the money, tell everybody they're an idiot because they couldn't repeat. If that's not coercive, I don't know what is. Illicit is they're taking their money and saying, if you don't say what I tell you, we'll destroy you. For personal gain? Absolutely. Peer review is not inherently coercive or criminal, but some parallels can arise if the system is misused, and it has been misused forever, and it will continue to unless somebody stands up. All right, potential reforms and safeguards. They know you got to just fix this thing. While peer review has flaws, equating it to racketeering is a strong critique. No, it's not. It's exactly the same. They could destroy your life. They don't have to break your legs. You don't have to shoot your dog, but they can ruin your life. And it highlights concerns about dynamics, the suppression of dissent in academia. I have so much to say about this that it'll take a long time. Addressing these issues requires ongoing reform and vigilance to ensure the system fulfills its purpose of advancing knowledge fairly and rigorously. Advancing, not suppressing. Science has become deniance. Don't look, don't say anything, keep your positions, keep your status. Here's some money. If you need more, just come back next year. Those people will pay us forever. Just don't fix anything. Okay, I could drone on about this forever because as far as I'm concerned, we need to examine everything again. So you're on my channel, you know what I have on my channel. Just come up for the last few days and look at what Einstein claimed was. That's an hour long. It was me against him. Suffice it to say that. What about this one? This is only 21 minutes long. Was human life here before, during the Triassic period? I have a human footprint right in the middle of the Triassic signature here in Connecticut, which is Triassic zone. And it's called the red bed, which is not here, the gray clay, and the black cap. And the gray clay with a human footprint is pushed down below the red bed, and the black cap came on top. I have the footprints. I have all kinds of things here. I got all kinds of DNA tests coming in. Well, they're going out. They're already out. And I'll be having, all of this stuff will be explained. And I'm explaining virtually everything in the last 8 or 10 videos. And even into the Gnostic texts, and even into biology and Alzheimer's. These Gnostic texts. And I go back to when I was fighting with everybody. My book was called Mudfossils and Velikovsky and Minds in Collision. This is an hour and a half. And that was just recently. This is about biology, I want RFK to speak with me about why the kids are getting sick. I have a lot of ideas to share. Roger's ramble about education, peer review, mudfossils, dipole, electron theory. I've been pissed off about this for 15 years. And Planck was right. Somehow these people got to get out of the way. I don't want them to die. I just want them to engage. If they're right, they're right. If they're wrong, they're wrong. But when you don't engage, it's not acceptable. As a scientist, that is not acceptable. And if these people are supposed to be academic scientists, what they are doing is not acceptable. And I feel that it's a fiduciary failure to their students. And it's deceptive, and it borders on fraud, and in my case, it's fraud, and not by me, but by them, and plagiarism and all kinds of stuff about the things that I discovered. As soon as I discovered, it's rejected, and then it's accepted, and somebody else takes credit for it. So that's the thing we're up against. And they have to get out of the way and look at, not to get out of the way. Oh boy, this makes it so hard to discuss this. I don't want them to get out of the way. I want them to engage. I could show them this stuff. And then if they can put up a defense, that's fine. But to hide out and say, no, the guy's an idiot, don't talk to him because he's an idiot. And if you do, you're an idiot. And that's what's happened to me for 15 years. And I'm not going to go along with it. And I know Trump and Musk, well, I hope like hell that they are going to do what they said they would. And Trump said he's going to make a free university. I already got it. So I'd love to be part of that. And Musk wants to save a bunch of money. I'd like to be part of that too, because we just wasted 10 years and billions of dollars because of this kind of stuff. We could do all kinds of things, and they won't allow it done. You see this? Was Einstein's claims wrong? Yes, they were wrong, and they won't get away from that. Is a redshift wrong with light slowing down? Absolutely it's wrong. Light slows down. It doesn't get stretched away. It's so much wrong, it's just beyond belief. And it's the one guy principle that remained this for 100 years. And now some of the people like Sabine Hoffensfelder, she's talking up. And she's she's gone into a YouTuber. All she's doing is making a bunch of money on YouTube. That's fine. But I want her to be a little more vocal. She's sort of hemming around the edge. Well, this probably isn't right. These guys, although she did come up with some pretty heavy-duty remarks the other day. But somebody's got to start following her, following me. Or she should start looking at my stuff. And I've tried desperately to get in touch with her because I'm on the same page. Nobody wants to talk. Anyway, that's the way it works. Okay, this is dipole electron flood theory. For Spur's theory to gain acceptance, it needs robust experimental evidence, which I have provided. Peer review, research, and replication are essential, which they will not do. They refuse. In summary, and that's because of one guy specifically, as is my feeling. In summary, if dipole electron flood theory were validated, it would profoundly impact our understanding of matter, energy, and the universe, necessitating a comprehensive rewrite of modern physics and associated disciplines, which means everything, because everything is based on physics and matter. Okay, now here's another one guy stood in the way of this. Roger Spur's Mudfossil University research on fossils were correct. It would challenge several established scientific paradigms, particularly geology, paleontology, and biology. His work suggests that many rock formations, geological structures, all of them, are not just naturally occurring, but are fossilized remains of massive creatures or biological structures that defy traditional scales and explanations. Exactly. The only thing that here is that dirt is just eroded biology. There's nothing but biology. So what is the total bottom line for Roger Spur's research? Well, broader implications. If proven correct, Spur's theories could revolutionize, that's a pretty important word, revolutionize our understanding of Earth's history. Yes. The scale of life in the past. Yes. Even the processes that shape our planet. Yes. It would likely open up entirely new fields of research and challenge scientists to reconsider long-held assumptions about the natural world. And one guy stands in the way. I said I went to University of Geneva and did the LHC at CERN upgrade to use CMOS because of its superior capabilities. Yes, the Large Hadron Collider at CERN has been upgrading its detectors to incorporate complementary metal oxide semiconductors. CMOS technology, particularly in preparation for the high luminosity, which I just showed you, phase of this accelerator. They're trying to figure it out, but they have to use light. They've been using protons. Totally wrong way of doing it. The transition is driven by CMOS sensors' superior capabilities, including enhanced radiation hardness. They had to improve them so that they didn't get smashed. All right, improved space, reduced material budget, and cost effectiveness. Yeah, you can do it for a couple $100. All right, key advantages of CMOS. Radiation hardness. CMOS sensors can be engineered. They had to engineer them. That was the key. Before they were smashing them. To withstand a high radiation environment. That's because they're big chunks, not little bits like we're watching. We're looking for light. They're made to pick up light. And they don't affect anything because they sit way back there and the light hits them. That's all. It would have gone somewhere else, so it's not affecting the experiment. Before, they had to send in energy in or pull energy out to observe it, and it just changed everything. They call it the observer effect. That's because you're putting energy in or taking it out. You just want to sit back and see what it does. And that's what CMOS does. And they fought like hell against me. And now everybody, look, well, here it is right here. It's just like Trump. No, maybe I got a new personality that they're willing to work with me now. But no, they won't talk to me. They just want to do what I said. And the same thing at Yale. And they took credit for my work. They realized I was right. And I had presented everything to Yale, to the one guy, and he took credit for my work. All right, in summary, the adoption of CMOS technology in this Large Hadron Collider upgrades is motivated by its superior performance characteristics, essential for meeting the demanding requirements of this high luminosity LHC era. We're starting into a whole new era to be able to see this high luminosity. Wow, it's completely changed now because of CMOS. This has been 10 years, it should have been done 10 years ago, but the one guy stopped it. Okay, my friends, this doesn't get any better than this. I asked chat, will they use light collisions, which are photons, at CERN to create elementary particles? I said yes. Recent research has utilized, at CERN, has utilized photon-photon, those are light collisions, to produce elementary particles, demonstrating the LHC, Large Hadron Collider at CERN, versatility beyond traditional proton-proton interaction. They used to spin them around like this back, bam, and hit head on, and just get garbage, absolute, just make trash. So in these experiments, high energy photons, light, the tiniest particles, interact to create various fundamental particles, which are the muons and electron showers, creating deeper insights into particle physics and the fundamental forces of nature called dipole electron flood theory. Now, the key developments. Let's look at the keys to the castle. Now, we were doing this in 2013, somewhere around there, photon-photon, going through a Venturi, because we were colliding the fields. Instead of hitting straight on, we were making them force through a Venturi. They had to crush, and then they exploded. And that's a photon collision, photon-photon collisions. They produced these W bosons. I agree with that. This is 2020. They finally observed photon collisions resulting in the production of W boson pairs, particles that mediate the weak force. This observation showcases how important LHC's capability to function as high-energy photon collider, directly probing weak, electro-weak interactions. Well, that's pretty good. Listen to this. Matter creation from light. Light is matter. The LHC has also achieved the creation of matter from light. No, light is the matter. You glob it all together and it makes bigger pieces of matter. On rare occasions, pure energy in the form of electromagnetic waves, which is the white ones, has been collided to produce particles of matter. No, they interact with the dark matter and become particles. The white is separated. When they see it separated and come back together, that's when they see the Higgs fields and collided to produce particles of matter, exemplifying the direct conversion of energy into mass as described by Einstein. Einstein was totally wrong. C squared, you can throw that in the trash. E equals m, yes. And I am in the process right now of creating the equations to cover this, because all it is energy is mass. Energy is nothing if it's just sitting there doing nothing. There's just nothing. There's no energy there. There's potential energy there. It can do something if it is moved or if it is excited in some way. So we have to define what is mass. That's all it is. Because energy is the amount of mass that's interacting with something. This is all it comes to. C squared has nothing to do with it. Light doesn't travel the same speed. And C squared, if it's always the same number, it's just like saying E equals m times 1. If it's m, C squared is always the same number. I never could, it's just insanity. Anyway, now they're going to go on to leptons, and boy, we're getting somewhere here. Well, I showed this stuff 10 years ago to Fermilab. All right, 10 years ago. You see this? Oh, they're all talking about the same thing now. And this was the research that Rod Warren and I did over 10 years ago. These advancements highlights LHC's role not only as a particle collider, but as a photon collider, which is the particles that make up the particles of photons, of protons. It's enabling the exploration of photon-photon interactions, exactly what we were doing for years, and their contributions to our understanding of fundamental physics. Look at this. This is recent advancements. CERN, Berkeley Labs, CERN, Fermilab. I don't think they're ever going to find anything there. They're just not looking. They don't care. That's the problem. As far as I'm concerned, that's the problem. Okay, I just asked it if Roger Spur's dipole electron flood theory were correct, what would change in physics? All right, now they always put 1 R, it's 2 R's. Sometimes they come up with 2, sometimes with 1. Anyway, if Roger Spur's dipole electron flood theory were correct, it would represent a significant paradigm shift in physics, 100%. The theory proposes all matter consists of an overwhelming abundance of electrons. Everything's made of electrons. But an electron is not only the white part, it's the black part too, which is the dipole. which form dipoles and influence all interactions at the atomic and molecular levels. While this idea challenges conventional atomic models like the Bohr model or quantum mechanics, its implications would ripple through multiple areas of science. Yes, a major ripple. Now see, they got me 2 R's. Potential changes in physics if Spur's theory were correct. Now they're calling it Spur's theory. See down here, Spur's theory. All right, atomic structure, like it was like Einstein's theory. I don't know, Spur's theory. They got it now. That's cool. I'll go along with that. Atomic structure. What is my theory? The traditional view of the atom with a dense nucleus surrounded by electrons in probabilistic orbits would need to be reevaluated. Yes, it's similar to that, but it's an equal number of whites compared to the blacks. The blacks control how many whites will surround it. And the more black ones, the more white ones. It's just as simple as that. It's the more attraction, because the black is gravity and it's dark matter. Now, the concept of protons and neutrons as fundamental particles might be replaced by configurations of these dipole electrons. Exactly. A proton is, let's say, 1,839 dipoles, which are the electrons. And when they all glob together, and for some reason are right around that zone, they get stable. Otherwise, they just fall apart into their electrons, dipole electrons. Now, a neutron is an even number. So a proton, 1839, a neutron, let's say, is 1840. And why is it a neutron? And what's the difference between a proton and a neutron? There's only one little tiny particle difference. Well, the difference is that a proton is 1 short or 1 over. You follow me? They're supposed to be even. You're supposed to have 1 of each. So you have to have the same number. So 1839 is not neutral. 1840 comes up, and so now you got an even number, and it does not want 1, and it does not want to give 1 up. They always basically come in pairs. So you want another one to attach to become not just a proton, but a part of a molecule, or you want to give one of your particles, you want to attract something else or give one away. Just take it to that way. It wants to get to 1840 for stability. And it can do that with inside of a molecule or outside of a molecule. It doesn't matter. But eventually it's going to be incorporated into something. That's Spur's theory. Now, so that with the concept of protons and neutrons, forget about them. They're made of dipole electrons. Now, electromagnetic interactions. What do I claim there? All right, so the nature of electromagnetic forces need reinterpretation. Absolutely. Spur's theory emphasizes electron interactions as the fundamental mechanism behind every force there is. That's the only force that exists, is the glowy electron. And that is a force. It has no mass to speak of that I can find. And it just gets gigantically energetic when it gets crushed against something. All right, so the nature of these, in Spur's theory, electron interactions as a fundamental force mechanism behind all forces. Now, Maxwell's equations might require modification. Yes, for sure. Every one of them does. Not a single one of them holds up under dipole electron flood theory, which is correct. They can't account for gravity now. They can't account for dark matter. They can't account for heat. They don't even know what heat is. I'm not kidding you. They don't know why the global warming is happening. Global warming is happening because the scrub of our outside atmosphere's electrons are scrubbing through the electrons in space. It's a scrub. It's 3,000 degrees almost, way out there. And it goes heat, cold, heat. And we have to absorb the heat. Cold is in between. It goes from 3,000 in the way outside atmosphere to around minus 100. And then back up to here we are on the Earth, and then the Earth absorbs all that heat. And the Earth is absorbing way too much heat. Well, everything's melting. And the weather is going crazy. Anyway. All of this, everything is affected by dipole electron flood theory. Once you understand that, then everything starts to make sense. Now, So we got electromagnetic, and they're going to have to redefine all of that stuff. Now, standard model of particles, out the door. Standard model relies on quarks and leptons that do not exist. As fundamental particles, they would face significant scrutiny. Yeah, they don't exist. If all particles are reducible to configurations of electrons, which are dipoles. When they say electrons, it means the glowy part and the black part. Particles like quarks and neutrinos might no longer be seen as fundamental. No, absolutely not. The fundamental, well, neutrinos, yes. There's a muon neutrino and an electron neutrino. These quarks and all that other nonsense they have, they're just things somebody made up to get funding. Quantum mechanics. The probabilistic nature of quantum mechanics might be replaced or supplemented by a deterministic framework governed by electron dipoles. Yes. That's the only way atoms can conform, and they can build molecules and enzymes, and food can be converted into body mass and things like that. It's all the interaction of these little magnetic dipoles. All right, now, wave-particle duality, uncertainty principle require reformulation. Yes, the particle is in the center, has a huge field around it. You can't. It seems to be constructed of nothing. I don't know what it is, but there's some kind of big field around it, and that field hits any other field. They create a huge glow of energy, and that's called the Casimir effect. Now, so wave particle, it's a particle that spins going this way, and it looks like a wave. And because it's got a big field around it, as it goes through, it creates a big wake. But the particle's tiny way back here. Now, gravitation. Gravitation is nothing more than the dark matter. Gravitation, electron dipoles are the root of all interaction. Gravity itself might be explained as a result of the dipole electron interaction. Absolutely. Offering a possible quantum mechanical explanation for gravity. It's 100% certain that it is the gravity, the dark matter. It sucks white, and everything there is contains white. There's not a single particle until you crash it and separate them like we did that doesn't have the white on it. Every single thing we've ever looked at has white crusted around it. That's why you can't see the dark matter. We can't see the dark matter. It's inside the white, that's why. Everything's coated with white, and the dark is inside of it. And I will show you some of these experiments they did in space. You can see it. It's very, very obvious. All right, but on Earth, everything crushes down because of the gravity. The dark matter is extensive in the Earth, much more than well, just think about it. The white part is just the electricity, right to ground. Static, right to ground. Lightning, right to ground. Electricity, right to ground. Why? Dark matter sucks.